Coming up on Sports Paws, the women's ice hockey team started their season with a doubleheader against Mercyhurst. How'd they do? We'll let you know.
And the men's ice hockey team had an exhibition against St. Thomas University. How did the Bobcats fare? We'll show you all the highlights and more.
And women's soccer continues its struggles as they enter the heart of conference play. Hear what Dave Clark had to say after the game against Niagara.
Plus, this week's Meet the Bobcats features tennis star Willem van Biezen. Find out why he is so unique next on Sports Paws.
Welcome to another episode of Sports Paws. Alongside Justin Cloutier, I'm John Franklin. And Justin, it's getting colder in Hampden by the day, and what a perfect time for the start of the women's ice hockey season.
That's right, John. The Bobcats took on Mercyhurst on Friday and Saturday to kick off their 2015-2016 campaign. Let's get right to the tape. First game of the season for the Bobcats as they're in their opening team huddle. The Bobcats are winless against Mercyhurst in their career. Let's get right to the action. First period right now. A beautiful saucer pass finds Nicole Connery, but she's not able to corral it. A pass to the low slot, but Megan Turner can't find the back of the net. Second period action now. Face-off win from Cian Ferrano, and Emma Woods one-times it for a goal. Quinnipiac leads 1-0. Tamberg backhands a pass to Melissa Samaskevich, and she rips a snapshot to the back of the net. Quinnipiac leads 2-0. The All-American Emily Janiga gives Mercyhurst their first goal of the game. Quinnipiac leads 2-1. The gardening aficionado again, Emily Janiga, puts away her second goal of the game, tied 2-2. Third period action now. Emma Woods tucks home this rebound out in front. Quinnipiac leads 3-2 late in the game. A nifty pass out front to Sarah Hind, and she scores to tie the game 3-3. I think we're going to see that one later on today, John. Overtime action now. Nicole Brown has her shot blocked at the top of the circles, still 3-3. Jennifer McCaskill shoots the puck wide and collides with defenders. And that will do it as this game ends in a tie, 3-3 final.
Now, Justin, let's take it right to the second game. Mercyhurst again at Quinnipiac. Let's get right to the first period highlight. Melissa Samsakevich up the left side finds TTC in Frano. She dipsy-do, don't mind if I do. Back of the net on the backhander. 1-0, Quinnipiac takes the lead. Now, later on in the first period, Mercyhurst, Emily Janiga once, twice, finds the back of the net. Gonna tie it up. Mercyhurst tied with Quinnipiac 1-1. Now let's take it to the second period where the Nicole Brown find the puck in the dirty area behind the net. Take it out front to Megan Turner, backhander, put it in the top shelf. 2-1, Quinnipiac. Now later on in the period, third period, puck loose in the corner. Gonna find Randy Marcone, but say hello to the trapper, says Jessica Convery. Trying to keep in the game close for Mercyhurst, still 2-1. Later on, Quinnipiac on the penalty kill, kick saved by Sydney Rossman. The puck would then get cleared, and that's all she wrote, folks. Quinnipiac wins the game 2-1. And now let's take it to Megan Turner after the game.
Every goalie, no matter how hot they are, people make mistakes, and goalies and players alike can make mistakes and give up rebounds that are good for us to make plays on. So I think just relentless. It's like we'd say 10 letters. Quinnipiac is one of them. Relentless is the other. So just we try to keep on, be relentless on the net, and then hope one of them goes in.
Looking forward, the Bobcats have 5 non-conference opponents that are going to give them a true test. The team looks forward to back-to-back contests at the University of Maine. Maine opened its season with a 4-2 loss at the hands of Boston University, but would go on to beat the University of New Hampshire in convincing fashion 4-0. The Bobcats will also take on Western University at home. These few out-of-conference games are going to be a real test for the Bobcats, who then start ECAC play with an early test, taking on Yale at the TD Sports Center. The team will then go on to face Brown at home, and then will face Yale again, this time on the road.
To talk more about women's ice hockey, let's bring in Maury Hirschgordon. As far as the staff, Maury, what do you think they have to offer, and how will they help this team?
Well, Justin, it first starts with Cassandra Turner, the newly appointed head coach back in April after Rick Seeley left the program. Cassandra Turner is only 33 years old, and she had an illustrious career at Brown. She graduated in 2003. She led Brown to ECAC and Ivy League championships. She also was a national runner-up twice. She also has an extensive coaching career. She brings an innovative style. She brings a ton of leadership, and she's young. She's only 33 years old, like I said, so she really connects well with the players. She's done a tremendous job so far in what I've heard in the summertime, and it's paid off here in the first weekend. As for the rest of the coaching staff, first it starts off with Eddie Ardito. He is the point person in the recruiting. There are many Bobcats on this team now that we're looking at Yale, that we're down to Quinnipiac and Yale, and he was the reason why they wanted to go to Yale before they ended up choosing Quinnipiac. He was very instrumental in Yale's success. Yale scored only 1.07 goals per game in 2011, and when he left this past spring, they were up to 3 goals per game, and defensively as well. Yale let up 151 goals in 2010-2011, and to the 2014-2015 season, they only let up 73. So across the board, Eddie Ardito has been great. Cassandra Turner has been great. That leads me to the third coach, Amanda Mazzotta, who graduated Cornell, familiar to the ECAC as well in 2012. She's the goaltending coach. She's going to help Sydney Rossman out a lot. She won 3 regular season championships in the ECAC, 2 tournament championships. She went to 3 Final Fours. She was an NCAA runner-up participant in 2010, and she was the goalie coach for the U18 World Team for Canada under Cassandra Turner. So not only does Cassandra Turner have 2 young, bright, talented coaches, she's also coached with Mazzotta, and now Ardito just makes the short trip over from New Haven.
Now, Maury, overall, how do you think the team played this weekend in the doubleheader against Mercyhurst?
I know a lot of people, John, are all on top of this team. They only went 1-0-1. Where's the second win? They dropped from 7th in the polls down to 8. But it's first game jitters. It's the first weekend. It's a new coach. It's a new coaching staff. 3 of the 4 in brand new positions. But that second line, a positive to take away, of Sion Ferrano, Samaskevich, and Woods looked filthy. 4 out of the 5 goals this weekend came from that line. A ton of good things happened alongside of them. Sydney Rossman looked good in net at times. Yes, she did let in some goals, but other than that, it was a good benchmark. Mercyhurst went to the Frozen Four in 2013, so the juniors and the seniors have a lot of big game experience, so it's a great benchmark for this Quinnipiac team, to look at themselves after the first weekend and say, hey, this is what we're good at. This is what we need to improve on. We played a really good team. They usually play the UConns, the UNHs, the Maines, the Penn States, and they clean up 4-0 and 5-0. Well, you know what? A good battle test early in Mercyhurst really will pay dividends down the line.
Now, Maury, you mentioned the offense. You bring up the star player names in Samaskevich and Sion Ferrano. But do you think this team has a stronger defense than they did last year?
I think it's a little too early to tell, Justin. They didn't lose anyone on the defensive core. So the only thing that I will say is maybe the communication isn't in mid-season swing yet between Rossman and her back line. But other than that, Emma Greco, Sydney Roosler, who wears the C, Taryn Baumgart, the list goes on. The defense will be strong in front of Rossman, and Rossman will only improve from here on out. Now, yes, the defense did make some untimely penalties in the first weekend against Mercyhurst. Quinnipiac scored to make it 1-0 and then to make it 2-0, and right after there was a penalty, 2.5 minutes, which led Mercyhurst to its first goal, and then a power play to lead Mercyhurst to its second goal. So just the untimely penalties from the defense is just one thing to keep an eye on.
Well, thank you, Maury. We appreciate you coming on and that great insight.
Justin, thanks for having me.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, the men's ice hockey team took on a Canadian team in an exhibition matchup. Find out how they did after the break.
And hey, Justin, don't forget about fall sports. Women's and men's soccer took on Niagara, and rugby took on Life University. All that and more after the break.
Laser Medica Derma Centers is a new philosophy in skincare for all ages. We are dedicated to offering the most technologically advanced and least invasive skincare treatments. Show your Q card and receive 20% off any procedure. We also provide microdermabrasion and Botox treatments, all performed in a relaxing spa environment. We are conveniently located at 52 Washington Avenue in North Haven, just down the street from Quinnipiac's North Haven campus. Call to schedule a free consultation and find out how Laser Medica can give you smooth, sexy skin all year long.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The men's ice hockey program continues to grow, and this year's recruitment class proves just that. Let's take a look at this year's rookies. Let's take a look at freshman Daniel Fritz. Fritz had a sensational BCHL career, scoring 8 goals and having 30 assists in just 55 games, which was first in points among defensemen. The 6'1" defenseman comes to Hamden from Harwood, Maryland.
Thomas Aldworth comes to Hamden from Keller, Texas. The 6-foot forward was on the Vernon Vipers last year of the British Columbia Hockey League. He posted the most goals on the team with 37. Aldworth is expected to have a big impact on the upcoming season.
Another defenseman joining the Bobcats is Chase Prisky. Prisky is a Pembroke Pines, Florida product. Wasn't nearly as offensive as his counterpart, Daniel Fritz, but did net 6 goals and 14 assists, and has proven to be a smart player, being 4th lowest in penalty minutes for his team. He played for the Salmon Arm Silverbacks in the British Columbia Hockey League, where he played 57 games.
Another former Vernon Viper is Luke Shiplow, a 5'9" offensive defenseman from Oakville, Ontario. Shiplow recorded 44 points in 50 games last season for the Vipers, and his brother Tyler played his college hockey at Mercyhurst.
Freshman forward Craig Martin from Trail, British Columbia comes to the Bobcats with quite the resume. He spent 4 years in the BCHL where he scored 19 goals in 41 games. Martin should be an integral piece to the Bobcats' defensive unit this season.
Scott Davidson is a 6'1" forward, also from Trail, British Columbia. The rookie played most of his BCHL hockey with the Trail Smoke Eaters and the Chilliwack Chiefs. Davidson tallied 114 points in 167 career games in the BCHL.
The men's ice hockey team hit the ice for the first time this season on Sunday when they hosted St. Thomas in an exhibition match. The Bobcats pulled out a 3-1 win with goals from Tim Clifton, Landon Smith, and Bo Piper. The Bobcats had 63 shots on net in the game, as well as the better part of possession the entire game. Coach Rand Pecknold preached about capitalizing on power play opportunities and killing off penalties leading up to the season. The Bobcats scored just 1 goal on 8 power play opportunities with 22 total shots. On the opposite end, the Bobcats had 4 penalties, 3 of which in the third period, where they gave up their lone goal. Captain Soren Janssen was pleased with the team's effort, saying that any time a team gets 63 shots in a game, they have to be doing something right. The men's ice hockey team had their annual start of the season on Media Day. Michael Gartig had positive thoughts on his new team this season.
I think that's going to be a strength of our team this year. I think we have a deep team. I'm not going to rely on just 1 or 2 lines. I think we're good top to bottom. And that includes our D too. And realistically, we have a lot of experience. And I think that's good that we can pass that down to the younger guys. And that's not just on the ice; it's in the weight room. Everywhere. Basically, just experience that we can pass down. We only have a turnover of 6 new guys coming in, and it's a small class, and they're probably gonna get the opportunities, but obviously the older guys are gonna show them the way.
The women's soccer team is going through a bit of a rough patch over the past couple of weeks. Dave Clark's squad fell to UMass Lowell 3-1 in its last non-conference game of the year, and then followed that up with a 4-0 defeat against Niagara. The Bobcats' offense has been struggling recently, scoring just 1 goal in their last 2 games. Quinnipiac is now 5-5 on the season. Next up, a big road matchup against Marist at 7.
The men's soccer team headed to upstate New York in search of its first win of the season. The Bobcats took on Niagara Saturday in a MAC contest. The Bobcats took to the field firing as Max Rothenbucher tore the cover off the ball from 30 yards out to give Quinnipiac the 1-0 lead in the 14th minute. Niagara would have a quick answer, netting a goal just 12 minutes later. Rothenbucher was dealt a red card with just 30 seconds remaining in the first half. The Bobcats played the second half down a man, but with the leadership of Tobias Esch in the back, the Bobcats would hold on to a 1-1 tie, leaving them still winless on the year.
The Quinnipiac Bobcats defeated Life University over the past weekend, 19-5, with Maggie Miles leading the way with 2 tries. Alona Mayer also scored a try for the Bobcats. With that win, Quinnipiac is now 4-1 on the season. Now, let's bring in Tom Cunningham to talk more about the rugby team season. We've seen them scoring tries left and right, so I gotta ask you, Tom, is Maggie Miles the unquestioned leader of this team?
Absolutely, Justin. There is no question that Maggie Miles has emerged as the leader of this team. We obviously saw who they lost last season in Costco and Durkin, and I think Miles has really emerged as a leader of this team. Last season, she's doing it on both sides of the field, offensively and defensively. Last season, she led the team with 64 solo tackles. This year, she's already got over 20 in just 5 games. She also is leading the team. She's got 5 tries in the year. She had 8 tries last year in just 10 games. She only played in 10 of 14 games last year, and she still led the team in all those categories. And this year, she's right back at the top of these categories, and we're seeing it on both sides of the field from her.
Now, Tom, would you say Alona Mayer is an emerging star for this team?
You know, John, I don't think she's an emerging star. I think she is a star already for this team. We saw her last season. She played for Norwich last season and helped them to win the 15s championship or women's rugby. And Norwich, one of the best programs in the country, she scored over 20 tries for them last season. And this year, she's already one of the offensive leaders for the Bobcats. I don't think she's an emerging star. I think she is a star.
Thanks a lot, Tom. Great insight as always. Now it's time for another edition of Meet the Bobcats. Q30 Sports' Sam Prevot sat down with men's tennis player Willem van Biezen to talk about his life outside of tennis.
I'm here with Willem van Biezen of the men's tennis team. So, Willem, welcome. We'll start real slow. Why did you start playing tennis, first of all? Did you play any other sports growing up, or?
I started playing tennis when I was like 6 years old. I used to combine it with playing soccer, but I guess I just enjoyed playing tennis more, so I decided to focus more on tennis instead of soccer.
Nice. And then you were nationally ranked as like a youth in the Netherlands, and you played tournaments there, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So what led to you coming to Quinnipiac then, after being so successful at home?
It's very easy in America to combine a study with your sports. In my country, sports and school are not combined. You have to, like, in your free time, you have to join a club or, yeah, just play with your friends in the afternoon.
Okay, so you like wanted to focus on studies and play tennis at the same time, so you came here.
Yes.
Cool. So you just turned 18 in June of this year. So you were 17 when you were a freshman. What was that like?
It was a big step moving out of the country, and had to like live for myself, take care of myself, and still like focus on school and tennis, and still like combine everything in a like very busy schedule.
What would you say is like the biggest adjustment coming to America from the Netherlands?
Probably speaking English at first. Last year when I came here, my English was terrible. I wasn't really able to have like a decent conversation, but within like a couple months, since I only speak English here, it's very easy to adjust.
How are the Netherlands that different from America, or were the two countries very similar?
I would say the people are different. In my country, not everyone would say hi. Like people here are more open to other people. Maybe not like in like a very deep conversation, but when I came here last year, I got to know so many people within like one weekend. So I was so like overwhelmed, like wow, so many nice people around here. So that was easy for me to adjust.
Kind of going back to like tennis and like sports, who's your biggest role model or inspiration in life or tennis or?
My role model is probably Roger Federer, since he's like the legend of the tennis. And I don't know, like everyone wants to be as good as him, but I know I would never be that good.
Maybe one day.
You never know, but it's not like my real goal in life to be a professional tennis player, to be honest.
So you see yourself kind of drifting away from tennis after school, or?
Yeah, I just want to enjoy playing tennis and see how far it goes, but not mainly just tennis.
We return. Field hockey player Angie King is live in studio to talk about how the Bobcats are preparing for their MAC opponents.
Plus, we reveal the top 5 plays of the week.
For nearly 90 years, 3 generations of my family have been providing the highest quality repair service. Insurance companies will refer car owners to lesser quality shops to save money. At Thoreau Auto Body, we provide the highest quality repairs with a lifetime guarantee to maintain the safety and value of your car. That's the quality you deserve. Thoreau Auto Body, our best work goes unnoticed.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. The field hockey team continued its out-of-conference play this week as the Bobcats took on the Nittany Lions of Penn State. The Bobcats hung tough with the folks at Happy Valley, showing strong defensive play as well as the ability to maintain possession against a highly touted Penn State side. The Bobcats' Dana Barlow found the net for the team's only goal of the day in a 4-1 loss. Quinnipiac continues to struggle through a tough non-conference schedule, but Beckham Maine's squad will try to turn it around again at home against Bryant University in their conference opener.
We're thankful to have Angie King in studio with us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Angie, how does it feel to break the school record for most defensive saves in a career?
You know, I think it's pretty rewarding just because I know the whole staff and the whole defensive unit has really put in a lot of time and work to kind of keep the ball out of the net, and we kind of have the mentality that do anything to keep the ball out of the net. So whether it's putting your body out there, trying to get a stick on something, I think that's our mentality, and that's what we do in practice every single day, so I think it just shows off in games now.
Now, Angie, when you were a freshman, you guys won the MAC and went to the NCAA tournament. How did the leadership on that team parallel the leadership that you guys have on this team?
You know, I think it's very similar because we had a lot of seniors that year, my freshman year when we won the championship. So I think the leaders now on the team kind of emulate what they did. So we had a great team dynamic, great team chemistry, and I think we know that we need to do the same thing we did my freshman year if we're going to make it through this year.
Angie, your team has a big weekend with 2 teams coming to Hamden. How are you preparing for Bryant and Providence?
Well, you know, Bryant's in conference and Providence is out of conference. So our focus right now, of course, is Bryant's the game on Friday. We're really focusing with film and a lot of competitive practices. The MAC for field hockey is a very emotional play. It's not so much skillful. It's kind of who shows up that day and who really wants it the most. So we're preparing that with a lot of competitive practices. We're kind of getting at it on the field, hashing some things out, but it'll turn out good for us in the end.
Now, Angie, you had a tough non-conference schedule to start the year. How do you think that's going to prepare you for the MAC play upcoming?
Yeah, I think we play some of the most elite teams in the nation. You look at UConn, we play them almost every year, 2-time defending national champions. So I think we play them not only to prepare us for MAC, so once we get into MACs, it's we're prepared at a high elite level, but also we want to emulate what they play like. So we try to play like UConn does. So we play a very similar style. So although they are a very tough opponent, we like to play teams that we want to play like.
Angie, we want to thank you for coming into Sports Paws. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you being here. And that'll do it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the interview.
Thanks.
The struggles continued for the Quinnipiac women's volleyball team, who took on the Ryder Bronx on Saturday at home. The team struggled to handle the offensive play of Ryder, losing in straight sets, 3-0. The Bobcats had a promising first set, losing by just 4 points, 25-21, but could not muster up any offense in sets 2 and 3, losing 25-10 and 25-13. Junior Emma Ogden had 15 assists for Quinnipiac, while freshman Kat Miller had 8 kills.
On Sunday, the Bobcats earned their first conference win since the 2013 season, defeating St. Peter's in 5 sets, 3-2. Freshman Jen Coffey registered a career high in 13 kills in the win, and Kat Miller posted yet another double-double with 21 assists and 12 digs. The Bobcats are now 2-14 on the season and 1-4 in MAC play. Next up for Chris Chaplinski's team, a trip to Marist next Saturday at 1 p.m.
So as you just heard from Justin, the women's volleyball team won their first MAC game since 2013. That's quite a long time. So what was making headlines the last time the volleyball team won a conference game? Robin Thicke was telling me he knew I wanted it. Nick Jones's brothers weren't jealous yet that he went to form his own band. The Sandman was still closing out games in the 9th for the New York Yankees, and everyone's favorite saying was making its rounds, "You only live once," better known as YOLO.
The men's and women's cross-country team raced at the Paul Short Invitational at Lehigh University this past weekend. The women's team finished 10th in a stacked field of 35 teams. Junior Neve Ash came in 24th place out of 312 runners, running the 6,000-meter course in 21 minutes and 11 seconds. On the men's side, the Bobcats finished 12th out of 38 teams, led by Q30 Sports' own Dylan Fearon, who finished 35th out of 354 with a time of 25 minutes and 23 seconds on the 8,000-meter course. The Bobcats head to Boston this weekend for the New England Championships. Also, I want to send a congratulations to Q30's own Dylan Fearon on being named September Athlete of the Month. In his last race, he placed 35th out of 354 runners in each of the 3 meets the Bobcats ran in this season. Fearon has placed in the top 2 runners for his team.
The Quinnipiac women's golf team traveled to New Jersey for the Princeton Invitational this weekend. The team played well, finishing 15th overall. Junior Nicole Scola had the best individual finish, tying for 38th with a 2-round score of 165. Freshman Julia Kemling finished with a 166, placing her 44th overall. The Bobcats will host the 5th annual Quinnipiac Invitational October 12th and 13th at New Haven Country Club.
And this is going to take us to the top 5 plays of the week. I'll take odds. How do you feel about that, John?
Works for me, Justin.
Number 5, women's hockey versus Mercyhurst. Quinnipiac's number 11, Melissa Samaskevich, scores on a snapshot, assisted by Kristen Tamberg.
Number 4, still on the ice, women's hockey, and look at this, a great flurry of saves from Mercyhurst goalie Sarah McDonald, and to keep the puck out of the net.
Number 3, Quinnipiac goalie Sydney Rossman flashes the leather here with an amazing save against Mercyhurst.
You saw this one earlier. Number 2, courtesy of Megan Turner. Puck gets low behind the goal. Nicole Brown to Turner. She says, "Let me put the books in the top shelf for the goal."
And your number 1 play of the week in this women's ice hockey edition, I told you we were going to see it again, but Sarah Hine gets the nifty pass out front and scores to tie the game and send that one to overtime. Well, John, another episode of Sports Paws is in the books.
That's right, Justin. But make sure you follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook at Q30 Sports.
And don't forget to check out our website at www.q30television.com. For John Franklin, I'm Justin Cloutier, and as Aubrey Graham once said, take care.